Hi everyone, this is Land Navigation, Lesson 2, and we're going to be talking about colors and symbols in this screencast. Now, when we actually start looking at a topo map, we're going to find that they're very colorful, and you need to know what those colors mean. So we're going to start with black. Black can represent an artificial or man-made feature, such as buildings, dams, homes, trails, railroad lines. And there are two types of symbols for buildings. One is a filled-in black outline of the building, and those are for buildings that are intended to house human activities. Buildings that are intended to house human activities are a solid black, filled in black, typically the outline of the building. So what are those kinds of buildings? Well, your house would be a good example. Schools, churches, shops or stores, hotels. The second type of building are those that are primarily not intended for human activities. So buildings that are mainly not intended for human activities. And they include structures such as greenhouses, sheds in your backyard, barns, garages. And those buildings are outlined in black. However, they are not filled in, so they are just outlined in black. Blue is very easy to remember. That is for bodies of water or streams, rivers, creeks, ponds, lakes, oceans. Brown is for contour lines. Green is for vegetation, typically a woods or a forest or what I call scrub. And scrub is just areas that have trees that are taller than 5 feet, typically have briars or phragmites, which is the tall grass. We'll talk more about them in the next slide. White is for fields, such as those with grass or rye. Meadows would be another example of an area that would be white. Maybe it just is a plain dirt field. Red, again, can be man-made features, such as main roads and fences. Pink is for urban areas. And then purple, you will not see any purple on the most recent maps, those of 2016. However, the earlier or older maps, such as those from early 2000 or before, may have purple, and purple represents areas that have revisions, and the USGS has not yet gone out and verified that what is actually there. So just another brief comment about vegetation. Topo maps began to emerge in the late 1880s. They became very popular with the military during World War I, when they started teaching the troops how to read topo maps. And so at that time, green came to represent grass or trees that was tall enough to hide a tank. This is a picture of a Japanese tank. It's probably a World War II tank maybe, or about that time. You can see that the grass is probably tall enough to hide it. And so just bear in mind that Green does not necessarily indicate a woods or a forest. It can just mean something that is about 5 feet tall or taller. So the first symbol that we're going to look at is a benchmark. Benchmarks are places where the elevation has actually been surveyed. So BM will be used to indicate a benchmark on a topo map. If you look down in the bottom left corner, you can see part of a topo map with the BM there for benchmark. Underneath that is 185.8. That is the actual elevation. And then you see an X next to the elevation. And X indicates that there was no marker there. And so in the center is a picture of an actual USGS marker. There are other markers put out by other groups. Most of all of the markers are metal. If there is a triangle by the BM, pretty close to the BM, it'll be a black triangle sitting over here. That means that a marker has been placed in the ground. Now, these markers are not really of any use as a terrain feature. However, they are very useful for when you're given map exercises to do where you have to determine distances and bearings to go from one location to another location. So in lesson 3, in the next screencast, we'll be talking more about symbols.